So here I am standing in front of Cinderella's castle, and there's a very interesting piece of art that's inside the castle. On the inside part, you can see it's closed up right now from this side, but from the other side we can get in and actually see the art. And it's a piece of art that's actually the story of Cinderella as imagined by Dorothea Redmond. She's a Disney legend, an artist, and she actually came up with a concept for it. And we'll go in and take a look at it, and I'll tell you more about it. The mosaic to which I refer is actually in here inside the castle. You have Cinderella's royal table on one side and the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique on the other. But what you've got is actually a mural that's created in here in several parts. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts that tell the story of Cinderella. And what's really fascinating about this is that it was put together with such love and care. Dorothea imagined what it was going to look like. Then the Disney company hired Hanns Scharff to come in and actually do the inlaid tiles. If you look closely at it, you'll see that it's thousands and thousands of inlaid tiles, all nestled together, different colors and different styles, all put together like this. So Hanns actually did this and put it together himself. So in the 5 panels, it tells the story of Cinderella. So if we look back, we see Cinderella living with her stepsisters and her wicked stepmother in the first panel. Then she meets the fairy godmother in the second panel. Then she goes to the ball and runs away from the prince. And then the prince finds her and gives her the shoe, her glass slipper back. And then they live happily ever after. So it's got the whole story that they're telling about Cinderella. The amazing part is the attention to detail, the thousands upon thousands of tiles that it took to put this together and make this this art come to life. Now, Hanns Scharff has an interesting story. His town was invaded in Austria, and he was given the choice of joining the military or being put in prison. So he took the easier course of action and actually joined the military. And he worked for the Luftwaffe in interrogation. And his job was actually to interrogate US and British pilots and try and get them to give up any information. And his tactics were unique because he didn't use any of the enhanced interrogation techniques that we hear about today. He actually talked to everybody and got to know them. In fact, after the war, several of them said they were friends with him again because he was such a decent person. And I think that's the way he made his way through the war, was to be able to try and do something different and approach the world differently. So after the war, the US actually recruited him to come and work for the US military to help better tell the tale and help people to prosecute some of the Nazis and some of the big collaborators. So he was actually involved in that and doing some of the interrogations on the US side after the war was over. So very interesting. So he stayed in the US and he wrote some of the manuals that are still in use today for surviving interrogations and so forth. And over time, he became an artist. He was an artist before the war, and he decided to become an artist again after the war, and actually worked in California, and Walt Disney found him and asked him to come and do some work for him, and then he wound up working here at the Walt Disney World Resort. He and his wife and daughter actually put this mosaic together in its entirety. Really remarkable thing. They were able to translate what was there. I think once he said he's no artist, he's really just a person who sees it and is able to put it together. It's sort of an interpretive thing. So very interesting. So this is not the only mural he did at Walt Disney World. There's another one. I'll show that to you in another video cast. But this is the more interesting one because it's very intricate and very detailed, and it took a very long time to get together. Now, another thing I wanted to point out to you while we're here under the castle is just these castle doors. And there's an amazing resemblance to actual castle doors, the way they were put together. It's really remarkable. They put these in here and built them like this. On the other side of it, there's actually a portcullis. That's the iron gate that would come down. There's actually one in the ceiling. I don't believe it's working, but I do believe it's full size. And they actually built it so that it would look like a castle. So it's a remarkable thing that they did here. So again, the stepsisters and the stepmother and Cinderella. And her on the farm and doing whatever. Just an amazing mosaic that most people don't notice because now you can't walk through the castle anymore. I would argue that most people didn't notice it before, but now they really don't notice it because you don't walk through the castle unless you're coming to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique or you're headed over to Cinderella's royal table.